Welcome to the Small Business Blueprint, a podcast for local business owners who are looking to reach sustainable growth. In each episode, you'll hear directly from small business owners and leaders who have navigated the changes and setbacks that outline their unique blueprint to small business success. So join us to learn how you can turn their stories into actionable steps to transform your business into an established brand in your community.
Welcome into the Small Business Blueprint podcast. My name is Alex. I'll be your host here today, and joining us from fresh off a workout as well from the fitness studio at Pure Indoor Cycling, we have Maria Disla. Maria, thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks so much for having me. Yes, I am definitely zipping up my sweatshirt so you can't see that I'm like grossly and sweaty. Like
as a fitness instructor, I wouldn't expect anything different. That's how you know you're working hard and truly involved in your business. That's really the number one thing I think most people want to see with any small business owner is that you're hands-on. That's the best sign of a business owner. So Maria, first and foremost, number one, really just want to get to know who you are, how you got into the fitness industry. Walk us through what a day in the life of a fitness instructor is like and how you got into this industry.
Yeah. So my sort of path to being a small boutique fitness studio owner and a fitness instructor is kind of random. I didn't go to school for it. I definitely never thought I would become an instructor. I'm from New York City originally, and then I moved to LA from New York. That was like 8 years ago. And then from LA, I moved to San Diego. And obviously in New York and LA, we've got tons of studios everywhere, different options. You can take Barry's, SoulCycle, et cetera. And when I moved to San Diego at the time, so this is now 6 years ago, there just weren't very many studios downtown where I live. And it kind of got me thinking about like how it was in New York, where you could leave your building, go downstairs, and there's a boutique gym, and then you can go to work or do it after, et cetera. So having that like easeability of like living and working out in the same area was kind of like what led me to opening up a studio downtown. And I actually opened up the studio not to become an instructor, but just because I thought it was a great business and I have a passion for it. So I was like, this is something I can really dedicate my time to and run it as a business, but not actually teach and have other people teach classes and stuff. And then obviously, as all things go, things happen. And I ended up having to start picking up classes and sub and all that kind of stuff. And then I fell in love with teaching. And so now I teach a lot. And then I also train our own instructors and instructors at other studios, not here in San Diego, but in other cities and even other countries as well. So yeah.
I love it. Okay, that's awesome to hear. I totally understand what you're talking about. Like that vibe that New York has, where you can literally walk outside and you've got the entire world right there. It's your oyster.
Yeah.
And especially as someone who's, I've been in Southern California now for 6 years. You do pretty much everything in your car, right?
I know.
You have to drive everywhere. It's so rare to find, especially a boutique studio like what you guys offer within walking distance of your house.
Yeah,
especially in a downtown area. Like it's typically either a giant gym, a 24-hour fitness, something like that, which doesn't necessarily offer what you guys have to offer, or you have to drive 20, 30 minutes to get to something like that.
Yeah. I feel like I was like traumatized when I moved to LA about driving. Like it literally, I went from not driving to driving all the time and in like tons of traffic. And then I was like, I never want to drive again.
Downtown San Diego is a good place to be then.
Yeah.
You get that nice vibe. You can drive if you want to, but you still have everything right there if you do need it. So tell us about your business, Pure Indoor Cycling. How long have you had this business? When you first opened, what were you trying to accomplish and bring to your clients that wasn't really being offered by any other studios that were out there?
Yeah. So Pure, we've been around, we just celebrated our 4th year anniversary in August of 2020. So we're going on year 5 this August of 2021. So that's exciting.
Congrats.
Thank you. But I feel like when I moved here, I wanted to find a place that was like welcoming and had kind of the vibe that I like in terms of spin classes. And the closest 2 studios at the time, so this is 6 years ago now, were in La Jolla. And I was like, number one, I don't want to get in a car and drive 20, 25 minutes to go take a spin class. Like to me, that was like not efficient use of time. And so the studio kind of came out of me wanting a place to go to. So it's kind of like for selfish reasons. But I wanted a place to go to that was downtown that I could walk to and that had like a very like welcoming vibe, and had like a community feel. And it wasn't so much about like what you looked like or your ability or your skill level, but just really like allowing people to connect with what, in my opinion, is the best part of fitness, is just like making you feel good when you move. And like, no matter if you do that by walking or if you do that by getting on a spin bike or hitting a treadmill, like in my opinion, as long as you're moving and it makes you feel good, then like you're winning. And so everything else is like extra bonus points. So I wanted to create a space that had that sort of vibe and that had that energy to it. And that's what I think we've kind of created here over the last couple of years. And so throughout the pandemic, obviously like having to close and not being able to offer that physically, it actually made me take a step back and really realize that what we offer is not like a physical space, but like that thing that ultimately made me want to open the studio and was like what my goal was to begin with, which was like that community, that like energy, that feeling that you get. And it's like the pandemic almost made me realize to go back to that kind of like basis of what the studio started with and where the idea came from.
Yeah, for sure. Almost like a good mental space, not
Yeah.
only for yourself, but for everybody that's involved in your studio. Totally understand where that's coming from. Now that we're already on this topic of the pandemic, what would you say outside of that mental challenge of not having that place that you can go to? What would you say has been the biggest challenge for you guys between here and now in April of 2021, that you did not anticipate happening when the pandemic first hit in March of 2020?
I think for us, it was just like that immediate going from like packed classes where you're 40 people in a room and all that energy to just not having that period, just from one day to the next. I mean, I know for me personally, I love group fitness. And the reason I like to go take classes is the energy you get from the other people around you. And so I think I wasn't expecting it to hit so hard to go from like all of this to then zero and like not having that like connection with people in person. And so we pivoted pretty quickly to offering online classes. Like literally we closed on a Tuesday and on Wednesday we were doing Zoom and Instagram live classes like literally the very next day because we wanted to keep that connection with people. But I think like on a personal level, didn't know how hard it was going to hit me. And it actually took like 2 weeks for it to fully hit me because I was so like, oh my God, we need to like get moving. We need to pivot immediately. Like there's no break. And then I want to say 2 weeks after the closure back on that date, that's when it really personally hit me like, oh my God, I like can't work out with other people. I've been into my house for 2 weeks and I like can't see anyone else. And like, this is real. So that I think was like, it took a minute for us to like have that feeling sink in and that reality of like, not, like we can't be around other people. And like, how do you take what you've been doing in person with a ton of people and then like figure out a way to deliver that digitally? Like it just, I mean, it wasn't something we'd been used to. And obviously I've taken classes on Peloton and done digital workouts with other trainers that I follow, you know, in LA and New York and stuff. But I have never personally had to deliver what we deliver over a screen. And so that was like, I think the hardest thing to get used to is like, how do you take that product and then deliver it digitally, virtually?
No, it's a great point. What did you notice being the easiest thing to help deliver over a digital product like you guys had to pivot to last year? And what were some of the things that you didn't necessarily anticipate coming out of that have been bonuses for your business?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing to deliver is to like keep people accountable because when you're showing up at a screen, like it's different than showing up in person, right? Like I can see you, I can give you that feedback, I can like correct your form. And so that sort of like accountability and like back and forth that you have in person, that I think is like you can't replicate that. Even on Zoom, like if there's a delay and like you just can't, which is why like when people like, you know, when this all happened and people were like, oh, the fitness industry is dead, like in person is never going to come back as it was. And I was like, no, because it's not the same. Like you're not able to feel the energy of the instructor or like the person next to you over a screen. Like, yes, you can to some extent, but not in the same way. And so I feel like that was the hardest thing to figure out. And I actually had to like do some training with our instructors. Luckily, I have a theater background too. So I could kind of like give our instructors some tips on like, basically like you're performing and like you're supposed to have a response, but like you have to train yourself to know that you're not going to get the response. So you have to kind of like know how to like then go to the next step. So I think that was probably the hardest, but I think the most fun part of it was, and like something we learned that I didn't honestly think was going to come out of that was how much we liked translating what we do on the bike to then off the bike. So like actually coming up, and we developed like a whole new workout format that's tied to what we do on the bike, but you do it off the bike. So you don't even need a bike at home to do it. So that was kind of cool because it allowed us to basically expand into another area within our existing business.
I love that. Okay. When you say off the bike, what does that mean? Like people
So
on their
like,
backs, like pedaling in the air?
So no, not exactly. But so basically it's called Reshape. And so it's if you take our like rhythm cycling class, right? Like we call it rhythm ride. So if you took a rhythm ride class and then you did it, instead of doing like stuff on the bike, you're doing stuff like squats, like body weight movements, lightweight movements, things like that. But you're doing everything to the beat of the music, which is what our rhythm rides are structured to. So everything's on the beat of the music. You're not using like time, and you're not using like a meter on your bike or RPMs or any of those metrics. Like you're really just following the beat of the music the entire time, whether it's slow or fast. And so we basically took that same model and then translated it to workouts that you can do body weight focus or with weights and things like that. So everything's on the beat. I'm actually, that's what I was doing right before this because I'm teaching it again at 4:30. And so that's what I was prepping for. But now we've been able to create like a hybrid class where you do rhythm ride and Reshape. We also do just Reshape classes on our digital platform. So it actually opened up a whole new like avenue for us. And now I'm like, maybe this is something we go and do physically in the studio, or open up another location where we have 2 rooms or something like that. So it actually expanded what we can offer in terms of our products.
Absolutely love everything you just said. So when you say that you're delivering a digital product now, where do your clients find that product, or any of our listeners, where would they be able to go and find that product now? Is it something that's offered through your website? Is it something that's offered through like a Peloton type service? Like where exactly would they be able to find that?
So it's from our website, we have a link out to it, but it's digital.purestudio.com. And it's a digital website where you have on-demand content available to browse and look through. We even offer a 7-day free trial. So we offer rhythm ride classes. So if you have a bike at home, you can take any of our classes. They're filmed in our studio. We use all of our lights and like all of our different instructors. And we have classes that are like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 60-minute options. So depending on what you've got time for at home, you can choose from those. We also offer Reshape classes, which is that format that we developed. We offer cardio dance, yoga sculpt, stretching, and bar. So we kind of started to offer different formats that are off the bike because we realized that like not everyone could afford to buy a bike to have at home during the pandemic. So we still wanted to give people an option to do something that was similar to what they've been doing, or just some familiarity. Like you don't have to go and find a new trainer or a new instructor to take workouts with. You can do it with our instructors, but not on a bike.
I love every single aspect of what you guys bring and what you guys do. How does someone who is new to spin classes, or even new to fitness in general, how would somebody get involved with what you guys do?
So right now we've been, obviously with the pandemic, returning back indoors was not an option for a really long time. So we figured out a way to create an outdoor studio. It's a lot of work, let me tell you, but we have a tent. We're on a rooftop downtown. We're at 707 Broadway.
Okay.
So we're on the rooftop of that building. And it's actually pretty cool because you're riding, but you're like looking out onto downtown, which is like really unique experience. Like no one else is offering that. We have 24 bikes and they're all spaced 6 feet apart, following all the regulations and stuff. We even like brought in like a special like gym flooring. So it's not just like a bunch of bikes on like a parking lot floor. Like it actually feels like a space that you enter, which to me, that experience of like walking into a space and feeling the vibe is super important. So we wanted to make it like a space you walk into. If you go on our Instagram, we have like videos and photos and stuff. But yeah, so we you can take classes with us 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. And we have classes early in the morning, like 6:30 a.m. We even offer lunch classes. And then we have classes in the evening and then Saturday and Sunday mornings. So that's how people can come and take our regular classes. They can take our 60 minutes, our ride and Reshapes. We don't currently offer just off the bike right now. So all of our classes are either spin or spin combo with the Reshape format. But we are actually moving back indoors on May 1st.
Ooh, congrats.
I know. Thank you. I'm like, we're so excited.
I was actually very curious about that. If there was going to be maybe even a total pivot shift from, being outdoors part of the time to being outdoors full time. But that's interesting that you guys are going back indoors. Is that some like feedback that you guys have gotten from clients? Is it strictly because it's easier to manage, easier to prepare for? Is that even something you guys might offer in the future, is outdoor classes depending on time of year and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we've considered, or maybe as a way to, because obviously our classes outdoors use silent disco like systems. And so we bought the silent disco equipment. And so as a business person in my mind, I'm always like, how do I now monetize this equipment that I'm not going to be using indoors anymore? So potentially maybe we're looking into like doing pop-ups in different parts of San Diego, maybe like at the beach or like in Coronado, where places where you can't take spin classes really, and doing pop-ups and using this outdoor system that we've created and that we've kind of like figured out how to do, and then maybe do like pop-ups like at the summertime or like specific times of year or things like that. Or if we're doing like a partnered event with some other brand and we take our equipment and go to their location or something like that. So that's definitely like a way that I'm thinking about, like, how do we keep this format going? Because it is really fun. I will say it's fun to be riding outside, but if you've ridden indoors, you know the experience that offers, and it's different than when you're getting outside. And so I know a lot of our riders are excited to come back indoors. We have this really cool light system in our studio that no one else in San Diego has, and you can't replicate that outdoors. And so I know that that's something that people are kind of itching to get back to. And so that's part of the reason. And then the other part of it is obviously just the operating costs. And we literally have to set up an entire studio every single day and then take it down. And so that's just a lot of work, and to continue that it's been a year, so it's a lot of work to do every single day.
Yeah, for sure. I can totally see from a business owner perspective, being inside in that controlled environment just makes everything so much easier for you guys to not only manage, but I'm sure a lot of people don't even think about it, but if you have all that equipment sitting outside, it can potentially get stolen. Like there's all these other factors that come into, moving everything back inside as a business. But I love that idea of having those pop-ups in different places, like especially in San Diego, like you might even be able to set some stuff up on the beach.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's beautiful here.
Rides.
It's beautiful here, like such a big part, like so much throughout the year. That's definitely something that we're like, oh, maybe we do pop-ups in places, or it could be a great way to test the market. There's so many different ways that you could kind of approach it. And so obviously, like, I feel like 2020 and the pandemic and COVID made me even more of like a pivot constantly type of person. Like I feel like I'm naturally wired that way. And then during the pandemic, it was like heightened even more so. And so now my brain's always constantly like, oh, maybe we could do that with this equipment that I already paid for. And like, I need to figure out what to do with.
Number one thing I ask every guest that we have on this podcast, going back to when you first started your business.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, you're coming up on almost 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
What is the number one piece of advice that you would give to yourself now that you wish you could give to yourself 5 years ago?
Oh my God. I have like a million, but my number one I would say is trust your gut. And I know that sounds cliche, but I will tell you why. I feel like as a new business owner, I'd never opened a business before. I worked at a tech startup company. So I kind of had a background of starting from scratch and kind of having to wear a lot of hats and deal with all that stuff. And then moving from New York to LA with the same company, like there was a lot of like from the ground up kind of work. So I was used to that kind of hustle, but I don't think I was used to not having like this company backing you. And like, if you made a mistake, it wasn't 100% on you. And so that made me, I think as a new business owner 5 years ago, second guess myself a lot about decisions. And I realized over the span of the last 5 years that like, I really wish I had just gone with my gut, because I knew what I was doing, but I almost like didn't trust myself enough to like go with that initial first answer or option or whatever. And so I second guessed myself a lot. And if I could go back and just be like, no, you were right, and stick with what that gut feeling was, I feel like it would have saved me a lot of headaches, but also I wouldn't have learned a lot of lessons I learned. So it could kind of go both ways.
Yeah. It's always that, dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
I made these mistakes, but it helped me better myself and better my business. If I don't make those same mistakes, how do I grow? How do I learn? How do I evolve?
Right.
Always that great dichotomy, that great trade-off when it comes to especially running your own business.
Yeah, for sure.
Any fun, exciting plans for you guys now that you guys are going back inside? Are you looking to grow, evolve, like change anything that your business in the studio had pre-pandemic as opposed to post-pandemic? Are you guys really adding anything when it comes to that indoor experience? And are you guys worried at all about a potential, moving back outside? Is that something that, you guys are prepared for on that end of things as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the back of my mind, I'm always like plan B, and like if everything burns down, like what do you do kind of mentality. Like you have to have a plan B. But I think we are better prepared for if we were to roll back, if we did have to close indoor operations again, we could within 24 hours go back to operating without having to have like a lag period, all that kind of stuff, because we obviously have already done it before. So it'd be a lot smoother transition, a lot easier to set things up. Like we've got the checklist, we've got the documentation. So it'd definitely be smoother. So I'm less worried. Obviously, I'm still like, it keeps me up at night. I have nightmares about it, yes. But I
Who
think
doesn't?
I know exactly, but I think I'm better prepared mentally and like operationally to handle a shift if we had to make a shift. I think with coming back inside, what I'm most excited about is just getting people back into this like energy that we had. And like I've had a couple of people who've traveled out of state and have gone taken a spin class to a state where they have gone back indoors, and they're just like, wow, I forgot what it felt like to be in a room and kind of like feel the energy of the people around you during the workout, and really like have that be part of what makes the workout experience better. And so I'm excited for people to feel that again. I'm also excited. We have a lot of people that have moved to San Diego that have never taken class with us indoors. They only have experienced us outdoors. So I'm excited for people who are new to our community to experience what we have here at the studio. And then I think also for the studio and the business is there's a lot in terms of potential with what we could do, because we developed all this off the bike workout format that now it's like, how do we figure out how to do that here in this current space? Maybe we go to a new space. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot in flux, and I'm excited to kind of explore the options, see where the growth potential is. I feel like we've developed something really cool here and have really stuck to our values, and what we started with, like the whole ethos of the company is like to really focus on like making it a welcoming community and a welcoming experience for anybody. And so I'm really excited to explore how do we take that into other avenues or into other workout formats, et cetera.
Yeah, I love that, especially when you look at where the market is going, right? A lot of people have either purchased a bike that's in their home now. Of course,
Mhm.
Peloton is really the big name that's out there right
Right.
now. And they developed the mirror during the course of the pandemic, or at least
Yeah.
that had been something that was on their radar. And they really launched it during the pandemic to try and
Mhm.
capture some of that market that was, looking to do home workouts, but not necessarily just be doing, indoor cycling classes all the
Right.
time. They were
Yeah.
looking to try and capture some of that market. Do you guys see Peloton and some of these other companies that are popping up now as a threat to your business, or is it something where you guys feel like you all can work together, or even get some of your material up on their service?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say with Peloton, like they've built it up for years and it's an amazing product. The number one reason that I don't necessarily see it as a competition is because it's such a different type of riding style than what we offer. And that was a big question that we were getting a lot a year ago when things shut down and people were buying bikes and kind of like rushing to get a bike for their home to continue their workouts. I had to really educate people on like the Peloton style classes are not what we offer here at the studio. They don't really ride to the rhythm. It's not the same format. They don't do choreography on the bike, which when you come and take a class, you'll see. It's like you're dancing on the bike and it's really fun, but it is also a super challenging workout. And so there was a lot of education we had to do with just getting people up to speed on like, yes, it's a bike, but it's a different bike than what we have, and it's a different type of riding style. And so that's something that people had to get used to. It's like, yeah, you could have a bike at home and you could have this easy software and it's got it all integrated, but you're not going to get the same experience that you're getting with us. And so that was also a really big reason why we pushed for digital and created that platform and have classes on demand available for people, because people want to take the class that they're used to and the style and all that kind of stuff. I will say, like, there is definitely, I was not a like workout from home or workout virtually type of person. Like, I was always like bored, but now I feel like I'm used to working out on my own and through a screen. And so now I'm excited to maybe like figure out how do we go into that space more, like where the potential is for growth. Obviously, there's a lot of companies that have popped up since last year, but I always think there's room for everybody, and because everyone's offering something different. And then that's kind of how I approach things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest shift that's going to happen here in the fitness industry as a whole is this, not to use this word again, but this dichotomy again of, people have always been going to the gym, and home workouts were more of a niche thing or more of
Yeah.
that break glass in case of emergency situation. I have a
Yeah.
half hour. Let me get a quick workout in. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. Whereas most people, and I include myself in this, I used to go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
And then when gyms closed, that option was no longer available. We always have to adapt. We have to adjust and find other ways to get that workout in. And there's hundreds of different ways to do that. Do you
Yeah.
guys see yourself expanding into that? I guess what parts of what you guys have to offer do you feel like will relate well to that digital platform that you guys now have?
Yeah, I feel like for us, it's a way like we might need to fine tune more about how do you provide the indoor experience outdoor, like which I feel like Peloton has done a really great job of like the way they film it and the camera moves and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that takes a lot of costs and like money to figure out how to make
Production
that.
value.
Yeah, I like looked up the company that did their setup, and I mean it's really cool, but also it's expensive. But that adds to the experience because if the camera's moving around the instructor, that would be more of like what you would get indoor or like in a class. And so I feel like there's potential for figuring out ways to make the indoor experience come alive more in someone's home. But also I think now people are more okay with and used to like, yeah, I go to an actual boutique studio or to the gym like 3 times a week, but there are days when I want to get my workout in, but maybe I can't physically get there. So how do I get that same workout from home? Or how do I get that same level of experience from home within a community that I'm already used to, within a community that I'm like comfortable with and that excites me? And that's where I think there's a lot of potential for kind of like a hybrid model. And like maybe as part of your membership, you also get access to all this other content. And so it becomes like an added value proposition for your customers, for your clients. But then it also becomes something that the studio can then grow and develop over time. And if it starts to pick up and grow, then maybe you can put more money into the production value of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you can even open up a subscription model that allows people that maybe they came in and did a class with you, loved what you brought to the table, love the energy that you bring, or one of your instructors brings, and move away. And they
Yeah.
still want to be able to connect with you guys in that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
because that's really how most people get connected with their, with an indoor cycling studio. Is
Yep.
they just love the instructor that they have, they love
Yep.
the energy that they bring, and it's hard to replicate that from somebody
From
else.
somebody else. And honestly, we have a lot of people that live in San Diego, like part of the time of the year, and then they live elsewhere another time of the year. And so those people have bought bikes from us and they're on our digital platform, or like they lived here and they moved away during the pandemic and they're taking our classes because they ended up, having the ability to buy a bike from home and they could take our classes elsewhere. Like I've done partnership rides with a couple bigger brands. I did one with TM Cycling, which makes these really cool cycling shoes that you can walk around in. They literally look like sneakers. And so you should look them up. They're cool. So I did a class with them on Instagram Live to launch a new shoe color. And like so many people that were not from San Diego, not even from California, took that class. And then they found me on digital and then they're taking my classes on pure digital. And so that kind of becomes cool. Like if somebody connects with an instructor, they can then go and find them elsewhere. If they move away, they can still take them and stuff like that.
All right, Maria, that's all I had for you here today. But before we let you go, plug your business, tell everybody where they can find you, so that we can hopefully get some more people even in on that digital subscription that you guys have going.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're tuning in and you're not in San Diego and you want to take our classes digitally, or you are in San Diego and you can't return to working out in a group setting, you can find us on digital.purestudio.com. That'll take you to our digital platform where you can take on-demand workout classes on and off the bike. If you're looking for us just here in San Diego and you want to come take a class with us, you can go to purestudio.com. That'll show you our website, our schedule, address, and all the details you need to come take a class with us. And if you're following on Instagram, it's at purestudiosd, and I'm at Maria_spins, double entendre because I spin on a bike and the DJ tables as well.
Love it. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Small Business Blueprint podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate the time.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Small Business Blueprint. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow along on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. This podcast is brought to you by GoSite, an all-in-one platform that makes it easier for your customers to find, book, and pay for your services online instantly. Get started for free at GoSite.com.